How's it going, folks? I'm Marcus.
And I'm Rami.
And this is the podcast we try and figure out what this podcast's about.
And what we're doing with our lives.
And this week we're a little bit doom and gloom. We're talking about the economy and why this might not be the best time to try switch up your job.
But on the plus side, we do talk a lot about Marcus's forehead and how it's a little bit red and we could all do with a bit more sunscreen. So
hope you enjoy the episode.
That'll fucking do, won't it? Is that
Hey,
me?
lad.
How's that?
I don't know, because I'm seeing 240p.
But
if I took a photo now and showed you how you're about 6 pixels, so I have no idea.
So it's as many pixels as you need. I've got a paper cut, mate, and it's deep.
This look is not working, though. One sec.
Oh, no. What?
Shiny old man forehead.
What's going on there? Did you get a burn?
I don't know. It's been since Santa Barbara, honestly. I've had just a shiny head.
Yeah, that's called vacation forehead.
Yeah, but it's been a while. I've been to Ireland since then. Usually that'd beat it out of you,
That
you
would
know?
knock it right out. What happened? Mate, it's been too long.
Yeah, it's been a while. Although we've managed to keep all of our podcasts, all our uploads up to date.
Sorry, because we've been religiously podcasting and meeting on a regular basis.
We have not actually missed an episode, despite not seeing each other or hosting a podcast for weeks. We've managed to ship. We've managed the magic of editing in the edit
of digital information, digital media. The magic, mate. The magic.
Yeah, it's been good. I'm actually really proud of that.
Cheers,
I'm really
mate.
glad that. Yeah, cheers, lad. Wait till you see this for ridiculous. Just one beer tonight. Look at the size of this beer.
Jesus. That is
huge.
the size of your head.
It's 32 ounces of deepest bluest, and it's a double IPA, which means it's about 4 pints in one can.
So just half an episode tonight then.
So what happened was one of our friends, to be unnamed because it's embarrassing for him, an idiot friend of ours swapped a case of beer for my Peloton.
You can't call Russ an idiot. You can't.
You just named him. You just shamed him.
I don't, hypothetical name.
Yeah. So someone, could be anyone who works in, might not even be a friend of ours, swapped a Peloton for a case of beer. I think we both know who came out the better end of that story, don't we, Rami?
Wait. Was it a permanent swap? I thought it was I'm lending you my Peloton so you can, rehabilitate.
No, I gave him the Peloton for 12 beers.
Oh, just straight up. You're offloading junk. Is that what you're doing?
He didn't
right
even
now?
haggle. He just said yes.
Oh.
I don't know. I don't think he did business school, so he doesn't know about anchoring and all that stuff. Going in with a low offer, he just said yes. Like I was the one who was making the mistake, you know?
Normally you'd be paying people to take the Peloton off you, but here you are. Mate, between the Peloton itself and the Peloton stock.
Yeah.
You're
well,
trying
I'm
to
holding
offload.
the stock. No, I'm holding the stock. I'm offloading the equipment.
I know you are. So are they. Mate. Oh my goodness, it's been too long. We have a lot to catch up on. I feel like you've been on adventures.
So.
You've been you hope so. I feel like you've been around the world and back via a few offsites. It's offsite season. It's offsite season 2022.
Have you been offsiting as well?
Everyone. I've had 3 offsites since I've seen you. Look, we can talk about billionaires taking over social networks and media. We can talk about all sorts of nudity at Met Gala. We can talk about abortion rights and then crazy US stuff. But the real topic of discussion is poopies and peepees in the potty, because that's where we are in my household. And let me tell you, I've never
I don't
discussed...
want to talk about that. I don't want to know nothing to do. I've been doing this for 6 years. What makes you think I want to talk about poopies and peepees in the potty? This is your problem. This is one of those ones where when people have kids, they think this is no.
What do you mean?
We're not doing that in the podcast.
What do you mean? This is a parenting podcast in disguise.
It's not.
It is a parenting podcast.
You keep bringing up parenting in it. This is a highbrow tech product podcast.
Can you just insert a fart noise just now? Can you just use one of those fart effects?
No, Rami.
I'm serious too, man. No,
PP and potty. We're not doing PP and potty episodes. That's going on in your house right now.
No, this is sharing parental tips.
What tips do you have to? Okay, what tips do you have to give me about PPing and pottying?
No, to you, obviously, you're the expert. No, you've done this already. You know how to do it yourself.
No,
that's not a problem.
I'm trained.
Yeah, I hope so.
I don't like that accusatory tone.
Well, I mean, I'm sure there's regressions every now and then.
My 20s were a grey area, but
everyone goes backwards occasionally. Everyone has accidents. It's okay.
Anyway,
mate.
Did you saw my text? I've been outed on this podcast. This is now no longer a stealth, Rami, Marcus and Rami fun Wednesday evening. This is now there's been a chink in the armor, and it's now people are going to know about it.
Who is that person who outed you?
Head of research.
In your current company?
Yeah, in my current company. Stumbled with the algorithm, just offered it up.
Fantastic.
Thank you for that, Spotify.
Fantastic.
She's like, I didn't know you did a podcast. I was like, nobody does.
No. What podcast? We
I did. My initial panic response was I sent her 4 question marks back. I was like, what?
Huh? Who are you? Who is this? I don't even know who I am. What?
Yeah,
different markets.
I think you're thinking of someone else.
Completely different person. Very good.
Algorithm offered it up to her. It's like, Marcus. What do you think of that?
Well, what does that mean? What does that change for you?
Nothing other than it's just no longer a stealth thing. Like, isn't there something? I don't know. There's something a little bit kind of magic about no one knows about this, and I don't know. There's just kind of it's a Wednesday evening thing, and nobody knows I do it, and I like that. I mean, it's fine that people know too, but like, no one's going to listen to it as well. That's the reality. Like when they hear it, they'll listen to 20 minutes of one and have a laugh, and then never listen to it again. And that's fine.
If you're lucky, 20 minutes. Is this like you're playing dress ups on a Wednesday night, and you're like, I don't really need everyone to see it, but no one really cares after a while.
And it's not because it's one of those things where people feel like they have to watch as well. Like, I must watch, and you're like, you really don't have to.
You
like,
don't. No, you don't.
It's not really for you. It's just kind of a thing, you know.
That's exciting for you. I feel like the work one is a fun one because it's current. The family one, I think I think you went family first. I went family later. Work, I went earlier. Sounds like you've gone later. What about your other YouTube channel with work? I feel like you kept that away, right?
Nobody knows about that.
Yeah, okay, that's inevitable now. The algorithm's going to out you.
Well, the trouble is I appear. It's one of the first search results for Marcus O'Brien now. So I used to be all career stuff. Like I did like a few lectures, and I did like it was kind of a nice. I curated a nice. If you Googled Marcus O'Brien, it was kind of nice.
LinkedIn.
Now
SEO.
it's all me reviewing stuff.
It's just you and these little pocket things for tech stuff and vests. And
it is. I've totally ruined that. There's like me on main stage at Google or not a main stage, on side stage at Google I/O. Yeah, that's like it's page 3.
It's poopy and pee training now.
Anyway, we better do some content we can use before it's 9 o'clock now.
This was content we could use. That was all warm up, just limbering. So, mate, adventures. You've been everywhere and back. You went back home for the first time in over 2-3 years.
2.5 years. Yeah, saw all the lads. Met all the Limerick and Dublin lads in this like massive crescendo party. It was fantastic.
Was this basically a podcast tour? Was this just a one man podcast tour to meet the fans?
Yeah, I think I did. I think I met everyone who listens to our podcast in that 4 days I was home.
2 things I want to know. One is when you got together with the lads, how much did they talk about the podcast and how much material did they pitch you for the podcast?
So that was interesting because we had an awkward situation there where the Dublin lads, when they met me, so I told you when we got together, there was like all my Dublin mates got together. I met them for pints, and then I was meeting my Limerick mates later for dinner. But then the Dublin mates' pints went on. We met at 4:30 in the day, and dinner was in the evening. But by the time it came to dinner time in the evening, I texted my Limerick mates and I was like, there's still some fun pints happening here. Do you want to come up here and we'll skip dinner? So they came up to meet with the Dublin lads.
How long a trip? Like an hour in the train type coming up?
No. It was just down the road. I was just going to be meeting at a different. I was going to
meet all the same city, but the different.
Yeah,
gangs.
we're all in Dublin. It was
different
all the
gangs.
Limerick lads who were in Dublin that weekend. Gangs, is who I was meeting.
It does sound like gang warfare. That's cool.
Gang warfare. Yeah. Anyway, but the Dublin lads have been saying, I feel like I haven't seen them for 2.5 years. Like, I know all your stories from the podcast. Like, and they were asking me things and talk, how such and such going. And then the Limerick lads, one of the lads was like, what are you talking about? And I was, it was the shooting. No. It was the shooting. Someone said something about the shooting. And I said, you probably know all this from the podcast. So I probably let it out the bag. And one of the Limerick lads over there heard and said, what podcast? And I was like, and then it became like, was it a secret? Because it wasn't a secret. I just hadn't. They were like, why are you trying to keep this from us? And I was like, I wasn't trying to keep it from you. Nobody asked me. So,
but between you and me now, were you trying to keep it from them?
No. It just never came up. I literally just inserted into one WhatsApp group, because one topic they were talking about we just covered in the podcast that week, and I shot it in there, and that's kind of how that one took off. But I didn't send it to anyone else. There's loads of my mates who still don't know.
I like me too for what it's worth. I like how you said, as you can tell, I like how you said a topic that we covered on the podcast, as though like there was a comprehensive research piece that we had, like a journalism kind of, I think that's really nice. Like
we had figured out actually what came up was as well, the lad was saying NFTs. He knows nothing about NFTs. My mate Ross said, I know nothing about NFTs. It's like, got an episode for you. So he's been listening to them, and I've been getting texts from him, and he's been like he slacked me about the or he WhatsApped me about the episode with the mummy and the roaring, and there's a few classics in there that people really resonate with people. So you can tell he's going through the catalogue. Like, you know, tall poppy syndrome was something you mentioned one episode. He was making fun of me about that and things like that. So
great.
So it was good. A wholly supportive group of people. But it's out now. It's out with I would say with both groups now. Both Dublin and Limerick mates. Yeah.
I two things that make me think of that. One is, you know, the parasocial relationship of social media, where I do have friends who post consistently on social, and I feel like I know them a lot more, and I'm up to speed with them because they're doing that. But I've never done that on social. This is effectively that. It's just with like a maybe slightly highbrow, maybe a slightly different disguise, but it's essentially that. It's us just kind of spinning it out. If they happen to watch it in this long form, very non-accessible way, then they'll get to know us, and they'll have that and they'll kind of be up to date. Two, I saw a map during the week of someone who had like New York, you know, he was different boroughs, what they're about, and it had like, you know, Instagram DJ, podcaster, like Park Slope and stuff. It was just clearly like demographic based, like above 35 with kids, you're a podcaster. if you're up here in Williamsburg, you're a DJ.
It does feel like a lot of people have podcasts now in our demographic, right?
It's much easier than tweeting, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's much easier than like having to edit your photo for Instagram and getting it just right. So much less effort, especially for like me.
I have to say I'm enjoying it, especially for you. I have to say I'm enjoying it for that. Like, I think we're getting our bang for our buck, you know?
Yeah. I think so too.
For in terms of enjoyment. Yeah.
I think so too. How are the parents? How is the family?
Good.
Any impressions from seeing the family for the first time in so long?
Honestly, it was kind of reassuring how everything was the same. Like, you know, I got the train down from Dublin. They were going to pick me up at the airport in Dublin, but I was adamant I wanted to get the train down to Limerick, which is like a 2-hour train, but it was through the countryside.
You're so romantic, Marcus.
And then I walked home from the train station. I didn't want them to pick me up at the train station. I wanted to walk through Limerick. It's nice though, you know, coming home. I don't know. Do you feel like that? There's been a couple of times in my life where I've come home for like, I did that year traveling around the world, and I came home, and it was definitely like you see Ireland. Like, I get teary when I see the island of Ireland. I know that's crazy and it's too romantic, but like, as we were coming in and I saw the island, I really like, oh, there it is, you know. I don't know, very excited about being home. So and I walked through Limerick. Oh my God, Limerick's a beautiful city. Like, I have not sung its praise enough on this podcast. Where I'm from, Limerick, on the southwest of Ireland, if you ever go to Ireland, anyone who ever listens to this, you have to go to Limerick. It's one of the most beautiful cities in the world. It's got the River Shannon flowing through it. It's got churches and castles and old, like, 1,000-year-old buildings everywhere. Like, I was genuinely jarred by stuff that I took for granted that I just...
green and lush and walkable.
I mean, it's an incredible place. Anyway, so I walked home. Mum and Dad were meeting. They had, you know, seen me coming across the bridge, and they were standing down by the corner.
Oh my God.
I saw the two of them, and they were exactly the same way they were. I saw them recently. So,
oh my God.
We went in. We had a great time.
I do wonder how much of the Limerick like beauty hit you after you've been. Berkeley's lovely, don't get me wrong, but you know the Northern California kind of slapdash
so old.
architecture.
It's the history.
And
it's so old,
and it's close, and it's human, and it's walkable, and it's all designed around it being a place that you walk, like a campus. The whole city is a campus.
But it's not even. It's like it's old. The most important thing is it's old, and everything is kind of built over time. It's like that building there is 800 years old, and then there's this church up there, and that's a Protestant church, and then there's the old walls of Limerick, and there's real stories behind them.
And bricks.
And I remember Kelly saying that when she came over. She was like, there's so many castles here, and you are growing up in Ireland, you're desensitized because you're like, well, that's falling down, and that one's not even that's like, there's a tourist park castle down there. Do you want to go down to that? But like, there's history everywhere there, and a clean city, you know, just no homeless people. Just
that's where I was about to get to. How much of that stuff is it just you were stuck in cars and roads that are straight and footpaths and houses that are just made of
300-year-old country,
and then all of and the homeless and the stuff, and then all of a sudden you're in green, lush, stone, magical things and interesting architecture.
There's a real feeling about when you're in a place where there's a lot of time has gone past there. Like it's just different. That there's something about being by the water too. The Shannon, just going through there, and it's gone through there for forever. And it's just kind of like you're kind of at a moment in time on something that lasts longer than you. That's deep, but like it's true.
Just Euro cities in general, by definition of their time period, means they're all invariably on a river of some sort.
Yeah.
That as just a geographical feature is one of the greatest pieces of Euro cities, because it's just what you needed to do. That's how you transported. That's how you got stuff in and out. That's how it worked. And you build around it. I think it's awesome. As opposed to the port cities that tended to be grimier and whatever. I think river
industrial.
Cities, river cities is just cool.
Yeah, that's true. It was a crazy whistle-stop tour, I went Tuesday to Monday. Tuesday meaning I got there Wednesday afternoon, got the train down to Limerick. So it was Wednesday night when I got there to my mum and dad. So I woke up Thursday. So I had Thursday, Friday, Saturday with my parents, and then Sunday I got in the train up to Dublin, saw my mates in Dublin, and then flew out Monday morning. So it was a real, given it's a 12-hour flight each direction, it was a real whistle stop.
Is that all? You end up only there 4 days. For some reason I had it like you were 8 days, but I guess...
No, I was there for 3. Well, I was supposed to be there for 8 days, and then I cancelled part of my trip for my kids' boat trip.
We also need to talk about the boat trip, just because I feel like that's the start of the adventure. How was the boat trip?
The boat trip was good. It was worth it. Honestly, I'm actually really glad I did it. And so, for folks who haven't listened to a previous episode, I was supposed to fly to Ireland from Saturday to Saturday, but then I was going to miss my daughter's first field trip outing, going on a boat trip under the Golden Gate Bridge and back, a 1-hour trip. So I ended up spending way too much money to move my flights to be Tuesday evening so I could go on the boat trip with her and then jump on a flight out after that. So I ended up just going Tuesday to Monday instead. I pushed things out.
Cats in the cradle, keeping your promises, mate. It's great.
It was all about keeping the promises. Yeah. I'm really glad I did it. I mean, I feel like, I mean, though, you know me, I'm a man of morals, and I feel like, I am. I'm like, that stuff's important to me. I want to look back on when they've all grown and they don't want to hang around with you anymore, that you did all that stuff,
Way to virtue signal. Got it. You're looking
not virtue signal. Well, maybe it is virtue signal, but it's for my own internal dialogue, my own narrative about who I am as a person.
You can get to sleep better. For all the other shitty things you do, you can get to sleep better.
I do loads of stuff wrong, and I shout at them all the time, and I wish I was a better dad. But like some stuff, I'm like, I gotta stick to it. You've got it on
record. The best bit is you've got it on audio and video.
Do you were talking about this the other day. I feel like these podcasts, one thing I didn't think about is that this is a good way of like
connecting,
getting snapshots into our lives at this stage and stuff 20 years from now,
100%, right? I mean, part of it was the discussion we were having last time, particularly this discussion really triggered me when you were like, I love her and I do this and I get emotional and I want to really stay committed and so on. And just hearing you talk about your eldest and what sort of parent you wanted to be, I thought to myself, imagine her hearing that when she's 18, or when she's 10, or when she's 30. And there is no other record of us as parents. It's an hour. This is number 16. There are 16 hours divided by 2, let's assume, or divided by, 4, depending on who's taking the air. And you end up with 20,000 hours of unadulterated direct audio of your parent at a particular snapshot that just doesn't exist. It's just an incredible time capsule. Like it's not captured in any other way. And there's the topics of the day, there's the tone, there's how you're thinking, and there's people used to write those. And there's the sense of humor.
There's the what makes them tick, all that. No, it is. It's nice.
So you're 80 and you can't string 2 sentences or whatever, and you're not popping with the same vibes, but they look back and they go, hey, maybe they were okay. Maybe they were a bit hip. Or maybe they look back and go, this is the daggiest thing that ever did happen.
You've got a rainbow poop emoji behind you.
Hip. That's what I said. Hip.
You're trying to sell the...
Actually, just for my oldest one, this I got this on the day you were born, coming out of hospital, from the hospital you were born. So you got sentimentality.
Caro wanted to throw it out recently, and Rami was having none of it, and was like, no, we got this when she was born.
This is sentimentality.
This thing stays.
Yeah. This embodies parenthood right here.
The hospital gave it to you, or you bought it at the hospital?
No, gave it to me. There was 2 behind the counter as we were taking her out. Literally, like the 3rd day. She was born, 3rd day, leaving the hospital, the 3 behind the counter. I was getting my parking validated. I'm like, well, what about these emojis as I'm holding her in the car seat? And they go, well, actually, you should have one. I insist.
Why did they not want to give? Why did they not sell it to you? Do they get stores?
It wasn't a shop. It was the reception. I was the reception. I was parking validated. It was just 3 of them behind reception. And the reception person just went, have one.
Oh, nice.
And I thought, I'll take it.
Nice.
Yeah.
I should have had you negotiate with Russ on the Peloton. I feel like maybe I could have got more beer than 12 cans out of him for this Peloton.
I thought we're not naming names. For what it's worth, he asked, do you know what sort of beers Marcus likes? Thinking that I have any clue. And
Did you say IPAs? Because he sent me all IPAs, which is what I love. It's perfect.
That's what I said.
You had no idea.
I said Rondell wine, and I've got no idea about the... It's like what I said about the beer. I said, I see him drinking cans, usually with colours and graphics and shit. Is basically what I said to him. That's
every week I tell you what I'm drinking, and it's always an IPA. Always. Every episode, you go back and be like, nice IPA this week.
I also said to him, go check the tape. But
so
I couldn't be bothered checking the tape. Yeah.
He did. It's IPAs.
Yeah.
It's all but he sent me some double IPAs, which they're magic.
You're gone already.
They're weekend drinks. Another thing that happened. Got my smoker. I got the 575, baby. 575,
smoked
baby.
Meat. I'm still trying to find that smoked meat song that keeps playing up on my music list. Amazing. Have we done it yet? Have we initiated?
We did the... I didn't realize how much of an investment this was in terms of... We had to... Is it priming the auger? I had to do all that.
Get it in. Yeah,
we had about 2 hours of prep in terms of like getting everything and then heating it up and doing the 350 and then the 450 and then the cool down.
Yeah.
So there's a whole process in like commissioning this thing, which I did to the letter of the law. Like I did it exactly as it told me.
Yeah.
And then now we bought ribs. I bought a rack of ribs. They're upstairs in the fridge and it's happening tomorrow. So... First, I had to order all of this. I bought all the rubs, all the sauces, and I bought a new set of knives, which are crazy sharp. I bought wraps. I bought everything, Remy. I'm basically a small butcher now. I can actually set up as a...
I'm just so happy we found another hobby for you to sink
something I can spend money on.
Funds into for toys and implements. Yeah, that's great. That's really good.
So I'll do the ribs. You've done nothing yet, only burgers or something, have you?
Whoa. We've done everything but the hard meat. So the pick right now for us is salmon and corn. Salmon and corn, doing a barbecue salmon and corn in that thing that's smoked is phenomenal.
What else have you done?
We've definitely done the burger, definitely done the sangers, and done some veggies and things.
Are sangers sandwiches?
Sausages, like sausage sandwiches. Yeah, you know. No?
I don't think that's a thing. I know sausage sandwiches are a thing. I don't know they're called sangers, yeah.
No? Okay, well, I can teach
in Oz, mate. Are they in Oz or is this a Rami thing?
It's broader than my immediate... I'm happy to teach you stuff like English anytime you want. If you want to turn this an English lesson. If this is what you want your kids to hear 30 years from now, we can do it.
Okay. Oh, the Great Resignation, because it's kind of tangential to what we just talked about. So I was reading... So the one thing about the Great Resignation is that initially it was like younger people, early careers, 20-year-olds who were en masse leaving their companies. The people who are leaving companies now, though, are mid-careers. So it's much more 40 to... Actually, the biggest... The age range where people are leaving their jobs the most is 40 to 60s. Are switching jobs en masse. It's like...
What's the theory? What changed?
I don't know what changed. That's the question I was going to ask you. If you just wait a second, that's the question that you have to answer. So right now, here's a stat: 11.5 million job openings in March in the US, which is twice the unemployment rate. So there's 2 jobs for every unemployed person in the US right now. So it's an unprecedented. This 11.5 million new jobs is an unprecedented number of new jobs in that time frame. What's going on?
What sort of jobs are they, do you know?
They're across the board. They're from menial to across the board. But they're. I read another thing on a recruiting. Was it Hayes or someone that said the search for passive candidates has doubled in the last 3 months. So companies are increasingly trying to hire. Like everyone's always tried to hire someone who already has a job, right? You don't want someone who doesn't have a job. You try and hire someone who has one. But the searches that they're doing for people who don't have jobs have doubled in the last 3 months. So
this is the phase of musical chairs where everyone's scrambling before the music stops, because that music is about to
you think with the recession?
Yeah, I think
is that what you're talking about? I mean, we just had a quarter of negative growth. The Feds thought it was going to be 1.1. They said, conservatively 1.1% growth, and it was negative 1.4% growth, our GDP this last quarter. Yeah. So we got another one ahead of us, right?
Yes, I obviously I don't have my finger on the zeitgeist of the workforce writ large or the economy, GDP writ large, but let's talk tech and what we know and what we see. And it's not meeting earnings. The big guys getting hammered. Zuck just announced today that they're stopping hiring certain types of engineers. This is the wave. This is the start of, I think, predictions, a very serious kind of freeze on hiring and engaging and growth. Temporary. Everything's temporary.
But that's temporary is in 5 years of recession.
No. It's like, I mean, who knows? But my temporary is 6 to 18 months max, and it's probably shorter. It's always shorter than you think it is, right? Because you start seeing the upswing earlier than the actual upswing kicks off. So H2 for sure is a squeeze, and you've seen it in all sorts of stuff. I think what happened is it's like a PLC system where you do overshoot because you kind of. It's got a lagging function. You never want to go asymptotic because you're going to miss out a whole bunch of opportunities, so you overshoot a lot. Amazon's perfect. So Amazon basically said, e-com boom, pandemic, we're going to triple invest in everything to do with fulfillment, operators, get our capacity right up, because we want to capture all possible value as the demand is there. We don't want to miss on a single bit. And they've clearly overshot because the demand's fallen off, and it falls off much faster than you can adjust, because you're not that nimble, right? As a large organization, you can't, you've got a low pass filter, you kind of can't adjust as fast as the demand can fall off. And so you're now left holding the bag. And that's what you saw with Amazon. There's dropping capacity, far too much supply, call it in your drop in demand, far too much supply. And now they're going to start doing what they're going to do. You're seeing Robinhood lay off 10% of folks because, one of the first things to go is going to be the sort of retail investment story. You're not going to see that sort of
Robinhood dropped something like 82% since it IPO'd? Yeah, something insane. Did you see that?
But there's a list of like 120 tech companies that have done that, right? Somewhere between 40 to 80%. Robinhood's definitely 80%, but you can keep going, right? There's a huge number of 40 to 80%. And I think that torpedo is... It has consequences, right?
Robinhood layoffs, 9% laid off. So that's the folks you were talking about. Yeah. And then share price down 71% from IPO. That's hard. That's hard to take.
And that's from IPO. Have a look from peak.
Yeah.
Because peak kind of 2 weeks after IPO. Yeah, anyway, but it's hard to take. It's hard to retain. It's hard for people to go there. It's a really... Yeah, I think there's a cliff... Like there's a retail, there's an e-com cliff, all that's happened, but I think that's a broader economic spend.
Yeah.
I don't think it's just people are no longer shopping online. They've all gone back to the shops. I think they're just not shopping. And I think that is inflation and gas and
people are worried. People know something. They're like...
all of that is coming through in the numbers, and all of that is going to mean, at least in tech, I think there's just stay where you are. Nobody. So if there is movement that's happening in the last 3 months, it's before the music stops and everyone's running to get into another chair that's going to see them out through this next thing. So batten down the hatches, I would say.
Yeah.
How to play it? Where do you go from here? There's lots of the chat around the valuations getting more real for the first time in a long, long time.
I think that's true. I think that's good.
All of that stuff I think is great.
It's necessary. Yeah.
It is. It's a far greater crash than, I don't know, in the text context.
Do you know it's the worst? It's the worst start to year financials for the stock market since 1939, the Great Recession.
Huge
since
crash.
1939, there hasn't been a year as bad as this in terms of a start to a year.
In terms of absolute volume, it's completely trounced 2000, 2001. I mean, obviously the economy
we're talking different scales here. We're talking people jumping off buildings in 1939, and here we are in January, in May of 2022, and there has been no year between 1939 and now that's been as bad as this for the stock market.
Amazing. no one's talking about it as though it's a crash. No one's talking about it at that level.
Yeah.
It's so casual because it's been like this creeping death and it's pandemic. We don't really know. And everything's up in the air anyway. Nothing's normal. So you can't really compare it. Inflation's not really inflation, but hang on, we're doing a whole bunch of monetary inflation.
Did the Feds increase the rate today?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you might expect
today was supposed to be the day, wasn't it?
Expectations that it keeps going. Judging by the market, no. Because the market bounced like nothing else.
That's right. It was a lovely day for the market. Big spring today. We went over $200 again.
So you assume they didn't, right?
I read an interesting. Here's a tidbit that when I read it, I thought of you.
Oh,
so
was it about handsome people? Was it about chiseled jawlines?
It was about Lululemon. Oh. So Rami, is that T-shirt Lululemon?
It is.
It is, isn't it? So Rami is dripping in Lululemon. He does. Yeah. It's literally all he wears is active wear from Lululemon.
Not because I'm active, just it's comfortable.
So here's a stat: Twitter, which Elon Musk just bought for $44 billion.
Not yet. He's got an option to buy it
till October. Yeah. So they've sale agreed on it. He just has to sort out his funding.
He's got $1 billion option to buy it. Yeah.
He's got a So listen.
Just clarify for the viewers. I just want to make sure the viewers and the listeners aren't misled. This is not a misinformation podcast.
Lynn, I hope you understand. He's clarifying for you. Here we go. The revenue, Twitter's revenue is $5 billion less than Lululemon a year.
Yeah, I mean, Twitter's never had revenue. The fact that there is revenue is an incredible thing.
$5 billion less than Lululemon, and the only person I know who wears Lululemon is you.
What do you mean?
I feel like, that's just nuts to me.
What do you mean? Lululemon's a huge retailer.
It's a huge retailer for who, though?
Active anyone who does yoga.
I wasn't expecting you to be so irate about it. I'm sorry for... I feel like I've bashed your religion or something.
I'm
like
I've just
said something horrendous about your culture.
I feel like you only have seen Lululemon through me, whereas
through you, active wear on you, and that's all I've ever seen.
Whereas I see Lululemon through anyone who does yoga anywhere. Like it's a very anyone who's gone to spin, anyone who's gone to Rumble, anyone who's gone to Barry's boot camp, anyone who's gone to any yoga studio.
They're all
draped in Lululemon. Oh, that's what I'm telling you. I'm trying to give you an insight here. They're all draped in Lululemon. There's a Lululemon around every corner. They're a big retailer.
Are they a big retailer?
Yeah, they're solid, and they're expanding. And I think they've got a couple of brands under. I'm not even sure if they're complete. Like,
if you were Elon Musk now, would you buy Lululemon or Twitter?
Surely, would you buy Lululemon? No, you would not buy Lululemon with retail margins that has no scale
and brick and mortar stores.
No, why would you do that? You do exactly what Twitter is meant to be done, which is turn it into a public commodity. It's a public good. It's the wire of the 21st century. It's
the town square.
It's the town square, it's the wire, it's the press release, it's a bunch of previous analogies that have all rolled into one, and it's a public commodity. No one should be trying to monetize it. And if you do try to monetize it, surely ads isn't the way to do it.
What do you mean no one should be trying to monetize it, Rami?
Well, because you're going to turn it into... You've got perverse incentives, depending on the monetization model, but there are some perverse incentives to the monetization.
And there's bias to any algorithm and all that stuff, but it's a... It's a company that it's not a non-profit.
No, I realize I'm saying in my mind the nature of good that it serves is a public good. It feeds news cycles. It feeds the entire media ecosystem. Articles are written, TV shows, news shows are based on tweets from celebrities, from personalities, from others, from reporting, from journalists. It is the wire. It precedes the news. And as far as that goes, that's a public good. So you could try to monetize the news.
Shouldn't every news source have to pay for that then? Shouldn't every...
That's right. So from a monetization point of view, we can flip it around and we can make the incentives align a bit more with who's actually using it and who's making it work. So it should be government, and that I think Elon's already said it should be based on commercial, essentially a SaaS model. Make enterprise pay for it. Make people who use it in certain ways pay for it. Make people who have more than 10,000 followers pay for it, because they're monetizing in ways that clearly are far more valuable to them than anyone. So there are many ways to do it, rather than you and I see a bloody ad that interrupts and click on a Lululemon pen. That doesn't work, right?
How many Twitter Lululemon ads have you clicked?
Not enough.
It's exhausting.
Not enough. I've definitely clicked on some sprinkle shoes for toddlers, one too many times.
What are those?
Little toddler shoes, size 7 toddler shoes with sprinkles
from Lululemon.
On. No, some from Instagram shoe store that's obviously manufactured and has no brand presence. At Adidas, you know the story.
Do you think it's just a natural cycle of being one of the world's most wealthy people to own a news outlet,
Media. Yeah. This is the Bezos Murdoch moment, right? Yeah.
Is that what he's doing? Is that all it is? There's kind of no. I mean, it's the main, like you said, it's the source of all news. Is this like he's the wealthiest man in the world? It's pretty cheap actually, to buy Twitter for that. If it is his own news outlet,
it is. So yes, I think it's a natural order of things, but I don't think that's what he's actually done, because it's not a news outlet. He's not like the WAPO or Murdoch's, where you can buy the opinion pages and you can sway editorial. There's no actual editorial on Twitter, and what he's proposing is less editorial, if anything, less moderation and swaying. So maybe through some like long game there are impacts of bias one way or the other, but I maybe there's an optimist story. I think he's going to give it a massive shot in the arm. I think he may well make it very profitable and turn it sides of profit, because he's going to work out how to monetize it once and for all. I think he's already brought it a whole bunch of additional attention and probably increased like DAUs, right? Daily active users and monthly active users by definition. I think
wasn't there a massive swing back? I mean, I think Truth Social is suffering because there's just a massive wave of Republicans coming back to the platform.
So I think he knows that audience, he knows they left, and he knows how to get to them, and he knows how to be their champion, kind of at least by perception. And I think he'll definitely be able to cut through a lot of the stagnation in product cycle and innovation cycle and so on. And I think the irony is that he'll play it in the way that he plays Tesla, which is about saving the planet and it's about the public good, and it'll actually become an incredibly profitable thing. It'll turn a really, really handsome profit. I'm not sure if it's about flipping it, but I think he's going to. Yeah, I'm very, very long Twitter. I mean, always have been long Twitter. I've been convinced.
How involved do you think you'll be in product decisions there?
Very. I think he was already very involved. I think if your future bosses, he's already kind of product ideas, and he's already sitting on Twitter. And if we know anything about how he operates across any of his companies, that's not just a tweet. That's a tweet with a follow-up email, with a phone call, it's an opinion and it's real, and he'll want to see it go through, and he'll want to see it go through next week. And that's the beauty about it going private, and the pace of innovation is going to be mental. The talk is that he's going to bring David Sachs, right?
I don't know. I haven't read any of this. Yeah.
David. The talk is that he's going to bring David Sachs as one of the VCs. He's actually he's on the All In pod, and he's actually a really good podcaster. And he's he's not quite hard right, but he's
the guy like that's below my bar. That guy that's below my.
No, he's one of his partners. Yeah. Okay. Right. So and that was Shamath, right? Shamath.
Yeah.
Which was So he was the one talking to Shamath. And I think that'll be really interesting. I don't know if it's about CEOs or otherwise, but it's mostly about just get it done. You're no longer worried about shareholders. You're no longer worried about your quarter and your earnings and your ad revenue.
Yeah, it's not about spinning stuff. It's about actually doing it. Yeah.
Just get it done long term. Fix it. It's on me. It's my money. It's all good.
He's going to have to pump a ton of money into it to do it, isn't he?
He's going to go on in a syndicate. I don't know how much of his own money, but he's basically going to buy them time. He's not a PE. He's not about to flip it, gut it, and flip it. That's not going to work for anyone. I think it's
who would buy it after him anyway? I feel like the market is a market of one.
Google
would buy Twitter off Elon Musk.
Well, it was Google or Salesforce was the last round, wasn't it?
Was it?
And then they got the wind of Salesforce, and then it all shot itself in the air.
Huh.
Yeah. That was the chat in 2017, 16, 17.
Was that before they bought Slack?
That was before they bought Slack.
Salesforce owns Slack now. That's mad, isn't it?
You just have to remember that every now and then.
Yeah.
Did you see the guy climbing the Salesforce tower free?
Yeah, Spider-Man, the French Spider-Man.
Was it actually the French Spider-Man?
Yeah. Well, that's what I read in the headline. It said French Spider-Man climbs Salesforce Tower.
Exactly.
He was doing it to protest abortion.
Well, that
apparently he was going to climb Salesforce Tower anyway. Just that was trending that day, right?
Is it because the Salesforce Tower is a phallus?
It might be.
Is that why? What's the record?
It seemed pretty handy. I would have given it a go. Watching the video, it looks easy enough.
There's lots of.
I mean, I feel like it was built with that in mind. What if we need?
It does have a lot of handholds. Actually, two thoughts for you. One is, if he was doing it in protest, message didn't get across. Just it didn't. It wasn't holding a flag. There was no like.
He wasn't doing it for that. He does this on all the monuments around the world. Great, he just who cares?
Then second thing is, I did see one video from the inside where there's like 4 security guards just taking video of him from the
and he's
inside.
giving it in the window. He seems like a friendly fella at least.
He's a lovely chap. It didn't look very secure. Like, all I saw was his leg around the pole, and he just kept on slipping. He had the rock climbing rubber shoes on, but they just kept on slipping down this pole. And I'm like, what sort of slippery fish is going up this Salesforce tower? It does not look very good at all. I wasn't buying it.
You have to have a different. I mean, you do need a different mentality to be able to do that stuff, don't you?
Have you seen Free Solo, the movie?
Yeah. Where it's
the
like
guy's office rocker.
Perfectionism or nothing. You're like, what about average? Average or nothing?
Just a hot chocolate at base camp, just on the ground.
Perfection or nothing. I mean, I feel I've never felt like that about anything. Have you?
I think you're way more that than not.
What
are you talking about? Every hobby of yours is perfection or nothing. It's invest in all the gear.
No, I mean, come on, that's not the right. Are you? I don't know if you're serious or not. Have you ever felt strongly enough that you would, if you don't get it right, you're willing to die? Like, because that's what that guy. So we should give context. Why don't we talk about the movie? What's the movie? What's the movie?
Free Solo, rock climbing. Some dude goes to Yosemite. El Capitan is the rock face. It is the home, the birthplace of rock climbing, the sport. And he free solos, i.e. without a harness, without ropes, without any gear, not a net, nothing. As soon as he slips, when he's more than 10 feet up in the air, he's dead. And he free solos this whole thing. And this thing is, I don't know, it's 1,000 feet. It's, I don't even know.
And it's a flat-faced rock. I mean, it's literally vertical.
Yeah.
And he does it without any ropes. And there's a video, you should definitely watch it's a great film. But his quote in it is like, they're like, were you ever afraid of falling and dying? And he's like, it was perfection or nothing. And it was like, oh my God. Yeah. Like, but and I'm saying you're saying that's analogous to me getting into YouTube and buying expensive cameras.
Yeah. Well, okay. Well, I'm saying it's on the path. I'm not sure you're about to die for your Traeger, but I'm not ruling it out. What I'm saying is, I think you have if I'm going to do it, I'm going to go all in, and you obsess. And obsession is the start of any, and you've admitted that. This is well documented. Yeah. Play the tape. And obsession is the starts early, and we obsessed about games, we obsessed about all sorts of competition, and it's, I think, the hallmark of a lot of great success, and that's how you achieve stuff, and that's how you get good at things, and this is just an extreme of it. Now, the death
I just can't imagine you taking it to that level, though, where you're like, it could be the end of your existence.
Sure. The death part of it's a little bit awkward, but I feel like there's just a little bit of the brain missing there, like the amygdala just kind of missing out.
Something forgot to filter something.
Something forgot to filter, just not computing. Also, for what it's worth, if you do watch it, I think it's two things. One is, it's not quite a flat rock face, is it? Once you get really close, there's crevices and there's ins and outs.
Stop, Rami. You're going to tell me,
I'm not saying it's easy.
I mean,
I'm not saying I could do it, but
when you get there, it's not actually a flat rock face.
No,
is that
but
what you're going to?
Like really close. It's a
really close. Yeah, microscopic level. There's loads of little grooves in it. Yeah.
Other than that, that's what I'm saying. But the other thing I think is a really great case study of breaking a problem down. It's not as though he just woke up and went, I'm going to go straight up this face. It's not as though he went, I'll try it once, I'll do it again, and then I'll practice, and away we go. It is, this thing is mapped, so you can get books, and there are many routes, like 300 routes up this face that people have documented, and they're left dots on there, and you can read them and study them, and then you go up and you practice each bit at a time, and you practice the segments, and you mind play the segments. You got photos of it, and you just broke it down to the point where there are 5 critical segments. When you get through those, the bit in between is easy, and it's that sort of break it down to the point of it becoming muscle memory, normality. You don't even think about it. It's a really, it's a great case study of that, right?
Yeah, it is a great case study of it. And I think fair dues to him for doing it. I just can't, I just can't imagine risking it all for feeling strongly enough about something to risk everything for it.
You do that for your kids.
Yeah, but that's totally different, isn't it?
Is it?
Of course it is.
Why?
Because there's a selflessness about it. Like, I feel like the thing he's doing is selfish. And I feel like, I guess it's selfish to switch your own life for your kids' lives. But like, I mean, like you say, in a heartbeat, you wouldn't even think twice. If there was an option of switching you for your kids, you'd do it in a heartbeat. But it's not in a selfish way, right?
Well, little bit of judgment there. So I think the question is, what's his motivation? And I don't know. At some point, maybe the motivation isn't glory. He wasn't living a glamorous life. Let's be clear. He was living out of the camper van, and his girlfriend, bless her, would be like hanging out with him, making little cups of what. I'm not sure he was doing it for fame either. He's not particularly famous or wealthy. I think there is probably a sense of, I'm doing this for the greater good, or it's just for the achievement. There's a sense of
it's an achievement. It is undoubtedly an achievement,
and it's for something bigger, right? I don't think the drive is, this is for me and this is going to make me glorious. I think there is something about it's clearly not the same level of selflessness as for someone else, but I'm not sure it was entirely for him.
Great.
At least I'm not sure that can motivate you to do it, right?
Right. Still mad though, right? We're agreed it's mad.
I'm trying to find analogies where people effectively give up their lives, but I mean, if you're a CEO, you've effectively given up your life.
Oh, Rami.
There are lots of things where you've effectively given up your life.
Don't give me this thing that working long hours is the same as climbing a mountain with climbing a wall, rock face, that if you slip, you die. Like what? The analogy with a CEO is if you mess up, you get fired, that your company goes under?
No. I'm more about sacrifice, and like people have already given up their lives. At least he didn't give, like he had a chance of retaining it, but others have given it up. Like the people.
I hear you. This is very Fight Club. I watched Fight Club 2 weeks ago, and this is very Fight Club.
How's it Fight Club?
Have you watched Fight Club with?
Vaguely.
Brad Pitt?
I think I pretended to watch it, and I just.
It was all about consumerism. I mean, it was before its time, in the late 90s, like pre everyone on their phone and stuff. It was all about consumerism and shaping your life based on your identity. Like what couch and matching 3-piece suite defines me as a person, all of this sort of stuff, and just you saying that and people not really living their lives, that's the whole theme of Fight Club, but yeah, watch it again, it's good, or watch it for the first time. Can't believe you haven't watched Fight Club. It's ridiculous. You are ridiculous, by the way. You've never watched Fight Club.
What do you mean?
What am I at the moment?
Yeah, what are you watching at the moment? Is it Edward Scissorhands?
It is not Edward Scissorhands, but I have been watching the Johnny Depp trial.
We should chat about the Johnny Depp
Severance. Severance. Have you not watched Severance?
Everyone's chatting about Severance.
Oh, it's so good, Rami.
Yeah?
It's so good.
Should I do it?
I think you and Carol really like it. Watch it. I'm not going to ruin it for anyone, but it's about people who work in sensitive jobs, and what they do is they have a chip implanted in their brain that separates their work life. As soon as they walk through, as soon as they go into work, they have a work memory, and so it clicks over, and they only remember their work lives, and when they leave in the evening, they only remember their evening lives. And it's this whole thing about IP, and kind of, are you kind of doing that already? You can't talk about anything when you work for these major companies, but it's really, really good, really, really well done. You have to watch it.
A single Black Mirror concept taken to a
Black
full
Mirror
episode.
over 8 episodes, and it's really good, and with a massive a big reveal in the last episode.
No, I didn't want to know there's a big reveal. I don't want to know there's a big reveal. Now I'm just going to wait for a big reveal.
Last episode's going to destroy you.
No, that's no good.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not Bridgerton. So for what it's worth, one of my motivating, very sophisticated, well-reasoned motivations for joining Cochlear and getting into biomedical was the idea of a memory chip implant in the brain. Yeah. I was really into cybernetics and just the idea of it. I would like cyberpunk.
I could do with that in a big way.
Into all that stuff and memory chip. I just love the idea of augmentation, particularly memory chip augmentation in the brain. And Cochlear at the time was, I know we chatted about Cochlear, but that was like the closest I was starting to see into that direction.
Yeah.
And it was just a juvenile, but like astronauts or dinosaurs or whatever. This was in that realm.
I could see that. You were already working in chips and you were working in implants. I could see it being the next frontier.
I still love the idea of it. What I know about
I think it's going to happen in different ways, but yeah.
That's it. What I know about it is that it's not going to look at all what I thought it was, but just the idea of it, I think, was just really, really solid.
Really cool. Yeah.